Alright, fellow plant lovers, let's talk about something that's going to take your gardening game to a whole new level. You've heard of compost, right? It's that nutrient-rich magic dust that's packed with everything your plants need to thrive. But today, we're stepping it up a notch by turning that compost into something even more powerful: compost tea. So, what exactly is compost tea? Think of it as a natural liquid fertilizer that's teeming with beneficial microbes, bacteria, fungi, and nutrients. It's like giving your plants a boost of superpowers in a bottle. Instead of just mixing compost into the soil, we're brewing it into a nutrient-packed solution that your plants can absorb more easily. This tea isn't just great for providing nutrients, it also helps improve soil structure, boost plant immunity, and can even protect against pests and diseases. It's a true game changer for anyone serious about gardening. But why should you even care about compost tea? Well, let's break it down. Have you ever noticed how some plants just seem to grow effortlessly? Their leaves are lush and vibrant, while others struggle no matter how much care you put in. That's where compost tea comes in. It's not just about watering your plants with plain water, it's about feeding them the right stuff. When you brew compost tea, you're giving your plants an extra dose of healthy microorganisms that help break down organic matter in the soil, making nutrients more available for uptake. It's like providing your plants with the perfect environment to grow stronger and healthier. And don't think that this only works for flowers or veggies. Compost tea is for everyone, from succulent lovers to your lush indoor jungle. Whether you're a first-time plant parent or a seasoned gardener, you'll notice a difference when you start using compost tea. It can help your plants grow faster, look more vibrant, and be more resistant to disease and pests. And the best part? It's all natural. No chemicals, no weird additives, just nature doing its thing. So whether you're looking to create a lush, thriving garden or just want your houseplants to flourish, compost tea is the secret ingredient. It's like a healthy, natural energy drink for your plants. Stick around because in the next few minutes we'll be showing you exactly how to brew this liquid gold and start seeing the results in your garden. Ready to get your hands a little dirty and your plants a lot healthier? Let's dive in. Before we dive into brewing your own compost tea, let's make sure you have everything you need. Don't worry, we're keeping it simple. This isn't some complicated recipe that requires fancy tools or expensive ingredients. You can get started with just a few basic items that are probably already sitting around your house or garden. First off, let's talk about compost, the star of the show. Compost is a rich, dark material made from decomposed organic matter like food scraps, yard waste, and other plant material. The goal of composting is to turn those materials into a super nutrient-packed substance that's perfect for feeding your plants. So, how do you know you've got good compost for your tea? You want compost that's well-aged, meaning it's had time to break down and mature into a dark, crumbly texture. Fresh compost isn't the best for brewing tea because it hasn't had enough time to develop all those beneficial microbes and nutrients. If you don't have compost at home, no worries. You can easily pick up some high-quality bagged compost from your local garden center. Just make sure it's organic, as this will give your plants the healthiest boost. Next, let's talk about water. You might think water is just water, but for compost tea, it's a bit more specific. Ideally, you want clean, dechlorinated water. Chlorine can kill off the beneficial microbes that we're trying to brew, so it's best to use water that's been left to sit for at least 24 hours to allow the chlorine to dissipate. If you're using tap water, just fill up a container and let it sit out overnight. If you're in a hurry, you can also use bottled water or rainwater, which works perfectly fine too. The water is the base of your tea, and it's important to get it right so that the microbes can thrive. Now let's talk about the container you'll need for brewing. You'll want something big enough to hold your water and compost mix, but also spacious enough to allow the microbes to grow. A 5-gallon bucket is usually perfect for this job. It's large enough to hold the water, and it's easy to stir and manage the mixture. If you're making a bigger batch, feel free to scale up, but a 5-gallon bucket is usually just right for most home gardeners. The bucket should be clean, and if you've used it for other gardening projects before, give it a rinse to avoid introducing any unwanted chemicals or contaminants. While the air pump is optional, it's definitely something that will make your compost tea even more effective. An air pump, like the ones used in fish tanks, helps to oxygenate the water, which is crucial for getting those beneficial microbes to thrive and multiply. The air pump forces oxygen into the water, which creates a bubbly environment that encourages the growth of beneficial bacteria and fungi. Without it, you can still make compost tea, but the brewing process might take longer, and you'll need to stir it by hand every 12 hours. An air stone attached to the pump will help distribute the oxygen evenly throughout the water, giving your compost tea the best chance to brew properly. Don't worry, air pumps are fairly inexpensive, and they're a great investment if you plan on brewing compost tea regularly. Finally, you'll need a strainer or mesh bag. This is to filter out the solid bits of compost when you're done brewing. You don't want those big pieces going into your plants or soil, so using a fine mesh strainer or a mesh bag will make sure you get a nice smooth liquid that's easy to apply. And that's it. Compost, water, a container, an air pump, and a strainer. That's all you need to start brewing your compost tea. These simple materials come together to create a powerful natural fertilizer that will help your plants thrive like never before. With this easy setup, you'll be on your way to brewing your own batch of compost tea in no time. Ready to get started? Let's move on to the brewing process. Now that you've got everything ready, it's time to get brewing. Don't worry, this process is super straightforward, and I'll guide you step by step so you can make the best compost tea your plants have ever had. Grab your compost, water, bucket, and air pump because we're about to brew up some liquid gold for your garden. Step 1. Prepare the water. Start by filling your 5-gallon bucket with about 4 gallons of water. This will be your base. You want to make sure the water is clean, dechlorinated, and at room temperature. If you haven't already let your tap water sit out for 24 hours, now's the time to do that, or use rainwater or bottled water. You want the water to be just right, so the beneficial microbes can thrive. Once the water's in the bucket, you're ready to move to the next step. Step 2. Add the compost. Now it's time to add the compost. Grab 2 cups of well-aged compost. You want it to be dark and crumbly, not too fresh. Fresh compost hasn't had enough time to break down all the organic matter, so it won't be as effective for brewing. Place the compost directly into the water. You don't need to worry about mixing it up just yet. We're going to let everything steep and break down together. Think of it like making a big nutrient-packed tea bag for your plants. Step 3. Activate the air pump. Here's where the magic starts to happen. Attach your air stone to the air pump and drop it into the bucket with the compost and water. Turn on the pump and watch as the bubbles start rising. The air pump helps oxygenate the water, which is crucial for getting those beneficial microbes to thrive. These microbes need oxygen to grow and multiply, so the air pump is a must for creating an active, thriving compost tea. If you don't have an air pump, don't worry. You can still make compost tea, but it will take a little more work. Without the air pump, you'll need to stir the mixture by hand every 12 hours to keep things oxygenated, but it's still totally doable. Step 4. Let it brew. Now comes the waiting game. Allow the compost tea to brew for 48 hours. During this time, the water will get darker and start to look like strong tea. This is the compost breaking down and releasing all those wonderful nutrients and microbes. The longer you let it brew, the more beneficial organisms will multiply, and the more powerful your compost tea will be. If you have the time, brewing for 48 hours is ideal because it allows the microbes to grow in full force. You'll know your compost tea is ready when it's nice and dark, and you can smell that earthy, healthy scent that's a sign of all those active microbes. Step 5. Strain the tea. Once your tea is brewed for the right amount of time, it's time to strain it. Use a fine mesh strainer or a mesh bag to filter out the solid compost chunks from the liquid. You don't want those big pieces going into your plants or soil, so make sure to filter it thoroughly. What you're left with is a nutrient-packed liquid full of beneficial microbes, fungi, and bacteria, all ready to go to work on your plants. Step 6. Store or use immediately. Once strained, you can either use the compost tea immediately or store it for up to a week. However, the fresher the tea, the better, as that's when the beneficial microbes are most active. If you plan to store it, keep it in a cool place away from direct sunlight. But honestly, I recommend using it right away for the best results. Your plants are going to thank you for it. And that's it. Your compost tea is ready to use. You've just brewed a powerhouse liquid that's full of nutrients and beneficial microbes that will do wonders for your plants. It's natural, it's simple, and it's something you can make at home with just a little effort. So let's move on to how to use your compost tea and see the magic happen in your garden. Now that your compost tea is brewed and ready to go, it's time to put it to work in your garden and let your plants enjoy the benefits. The great thing about compost tea is its versatility. You can use it in different ways depending on your needs. Whether you're nourishing your garden soil, giving your plants a quick nutrient boost, or enhancing your soil's health, compost tea is a powerful tool that's easy to apply. Let's break down how to use it effectively. Applying to soil. The root of the matter. The most common and effective way to use compost tea is to apply it directly to the soil around your plants. This is where your plants can benefit the most because the tea will be absorbed by the roots. To do this, grab a watering can and pour the tea slowly around the base of the plants. You want to make sure the soil is thoroughly moistened but not flooded. The goal is to deliver the microbes, nutrients, and beneficial bacteria directly to the root zone, where they will promote healthy root growth, nutrient absorption, and overall plant health. For larger garden beds, you may need more compost tea to cover a bigger area. For small garden spaces or potted plants, just a few cups should be enough. It's better to apply the tea more frequently with smaller amounts than to overload your plants with one large application. Compost tea is rich in nutrients, so applying it regularly will keep the soil healthy and your plants growing strong. Foliar feeding, direct nutrients to leaves. Compost tea is not just for the roots. It can also be used as foliar feed, meaning you apply it directly to your plant's leaves. Foliar feeding can give your plants an instant nutrient boost, especially if they are showing signs of stress or deficiency. The leaves of plants are covered in tiny pores called stomata, which allow them to absorb nutrients directly from the surface of their leaves. When you mist your plants with compost tea, those beneficial microbes and nutrients get absorbed through the leaves, helping the plants recover from damage, disease, or nutrient imbalances. To apply compost tea as a foliar feed, fill a sprayer or spray bottle with the liquid and lightly mist the leaves of your plants, focusing on the undersides where most of the stomata are located. Be sure to apply it evenly and avoid oversaturating the leaves. Foliar feeding is particularly useful during the growing season when your plants are actively photosynthesizing and can quickly absorb nutrients. When to apply, timing is everything. One of the best things about compost tea is that you can apply it throughout the growing season. Generally, applying it once a week during the growing season is a great routine to follow. However, you can also use it more frequently if you notice your plants need a little extra help, such as during periods of rapid growth or after they've been stressed by weather changes or pests. Timing is also important when it comes to applying compost tea. The best time to apply it is either early in the morning or late in the afternoon when the temperature is cooler and the sun isn't as harsh. Applying compost tea during the hot midday sun can cause the nutrients to evaporate too quickly, making the application less effective and possibly even harming your plants. Early morning or late afternoon applications give the microbes time to do their work without the heat interfering. How much to use? Less is more. When it comes to applying compost tea, it's easy to think that more is better, but that's not always the case. It's better to start with a small amount and increase as needed, especially if you're new to using compost tea. For larger plants or garden beds, apply about 1-2 gallons of compost tea per 100 square feet. For smaller plants or potted plants, use about 1-2 cups per plant. The goal is to provide a steady supply of nutrients but not overwhelm the soil or plant with excess liquid. Also, don't forget that you can use compost tea as a supplement to your regular watering routine. It's not a one-time fix, but rather a consistent addition to your garden care, helping to enhance soil health and plant vitality over time. When not to apply, a few cautionary notes. While compost tea is incredibly beneficial, there are a few times when it's best not to apply it. The first is during heavy rain. If the weather forecast predicts rainfall right after you apply the tea, wait until after the rain has passed. Rain can wash away the tea before the plants have had a chance to absorb it, rendering the application less effective. Secondly, avoid applying compost tea during extremely hot weather. High temperatures can cause the microbes in the tea to die off, reducing its effectiveness. Stick to cooler days or early mornings when the weather is more favorable. Lastly, if you've just applied a chemical pesticide or fertilizer, give it some time before applying compost tea. While compost tea is organic and safe, it's always a good idea to allow any chemicals to break down or be absorbed by the soil first before introducing more microbes to the area. Reap the benefits, a thriving garden. So what can you expect after you start applying compost tea to your plants? If you followed all the steps, you'll begin to notice that your plants start looking healthier, greener, and more vibrant. The roots will grow stronger, the soil will be enriched with beneficial microbes, and the plants will be better equipped to fight off pests and diseases. Healthy plants are more resilient, which means they're less likely to fall victim to common garden problems like aphids, mold, or root rot. Over time, as you continue to apply compost tea, you'll also notice that your soil becomes more nutrient-rich and well-balanced. Compost tea helps build long-term soil health, which will pay off season after season. The more you use it, the more your plants will thrive, creating a beautiful, sustainable garden. In conclusion, using compost tea is one of the best ways to naturally boost your plant's growth and improve the health of your soil. Whether you're applying it to the soil, spraying it on leaves, or using it as a regular supplement, compost tea is a game changer for anyone looking to create a flourishing garden. So go ahead, grab that compost tea and let your plants enjoy the magic.